Hi, I'm so happy to have you here today. It's a pleasure to have this space to share with you. I am Sasha Ostara. I am a somatic coach and an intimacy guide. And more than anything, I am a deeply political being who can separate body work from justice work. And I've held a space for people in retreats, around 500 women, maybe, um, and have held a space online for coaching programs and readings for more than 2,000 hours. And today, I want to discuss with you something that I like to call somatic decolonization. And mainly, the idea of somatic decolonization is that we we have in our bodies the internalized struggle of surviving systems of oppression that we have internalized and that have pushed us down for ages, for generations. And it is our duty to break the pattern, to break through, to create a shift. Somatic decolonization is the practice of noticing how systems of oppression don't just exist out there in the world, but inside of us, and how our nervous systems respond to them, how they show up in the way, yeah, we perceive ourselves, we shrink in the face of totalitarianism or fascism, how we feel this fear, this panic in our nervous system because we know the drill, because we have lived through it for ages. I am a Mexican woman. My grandfather came from Lebanon when he was 5, and I carry in my bones the memory of the Mayans from my father's lineage and how they have been exterminated for ages, and made invisible in the present, and carry the memory and the story of my grandfather and how, as you know, they are still surviving, um, and fleeing the lands that saw them being born. My great grandfather, who brought his children here to Mexico, said that he never wanted to return to Lebanon because he wanted to keep in his heart the memory of its beauty and radiance, and he didn't want to see it being destroyed and colonized. He came when the Ottoman Empire fell and the British took over, so that's why. So we carry these stories deep in our body. Those are my stories, but I know you also have stories because we are all migrants. The question is not whether you are migrant or not, is when and where in history did your ancestors migrate. But the truth is, we in the present are also carrying the weight of these four legs of oppression, of colonization. We all have colonized minds one way or another. So the first one is human supremacy. And human supremacy is pretty tricky. I remember how surprised I was the first time I read in the Bible that God had given the earth to Adam to use and to pretty much not only to guard, but I remember the word use. And that caused a lot of noise in my head because for indigenous cultures, we are guardians of the land, not above the land. We are not above anyone. We are part of an ecosystem. And that is something that I wish we all carried in our hearts. that understanding. We are part of an ecosystem. We are not above the ecosystem. The idea of being above and being capable of destroying whatever we want to destroy for profit is bringing us global warming. Thank you very much. It's giving us pollution. It's giving us the destruction of entire ecosystems of entire creatures that end up being exterminated. Um, and it's giving us polluted, contaminated water and meals. So, yeah, we are not above anything, we are part of an ecosystem. But human supremacy uh, is deeply rooted in colonization. Like people really believe that they have that right of using and abusing an ecosystem. And in doing that, it's no surprise that that shows in the other parts that I'm going to be sharing. These four legs are interconnected, they are interwoven, they are holding one big, ugly ass demon that is this system of oppression. Um, so they are not isolated. We have then, of course, the belief that humans are superior to nature, that which disconnects us from our true nature, and disconnects us from our bodies as well, because our bodies are not something we wear and then we get to dispose of. Our bodies also have an intelligence. Our bodies are also alive. Our bodies are part of the ecosystem that we inhabit. Our bodies have an ecosystem of its own. We do have these ecosystems that need to be balanced, otherwise, we get sick. We are a reflection of the greater ecosystem. We are fractals. And when we are disconnected from these ecosystems, the internal and external, and how they are interwoven, we start living from a place of numbness, in autopilot, and in disease. The next leg of this big demon is white supremacy or racism. It's the idea that there is one normal body, and I love Audre Lorde for mentioning this. The idea of the mythical norm, that there is this one creature that is the original, the created one by God. You know that I'm going back to the Bible here, like this idea that God created Adam, or I don't know how you pronounce it in English. For me, it's Adam. Uh, like to his resemblance, right? So God therefore must look like Adam, and it's like this white old guy with a big beard. So much to say about that, but this idea that that is the norm, white men being the norm, the center of the universe, right? Oh, but we all believe that at some point. We all actually believe that at some point. Gladly, I'm Mexican, and I can tell you that we believe here in Mexico, we used to before being colonized as well, because of course I grew up with this Catholic belief of Adam and Eve. But before that, the Mayans and the Nahua people and the other indigenous groups of Mexico, because Mexico has more than 64 indigenous groups, each of them with their own wisdom and stories and very specific traits. Uh, they believed that we were all made out of the blood of our gods, like not the moth, but the blood of our gods, and corn, maize. So we are part of the earth, we are part of the land, and we are part divine. We are both. And Yeah, we are multicolored because corn is multicolored. We have so many different kinds of corn in Mexico. Uh, some of them are blue, some of them are red, some of them are yellow, some of them are whiter, some of them are mixed with different colors in the same in the same corn. So that is humanity, a multicolor corn field that has so many different ways of being and existing. That's how we were created. But white supremacy doesn't think that way. White supremacy thinks that there is just this superior race that is somehow entitled to destroying everybody else or to using everybody else. I just can't. I just can't. It's so ridiculous, but it's so internalized, and that's the danger. It's ridiculous and it's internalized, and that's the danger. And this idea makes us live in a way in which those of us that are not white enough start internalizing whiteness, start internalizing the traits, the behaviors, the attributes that we consider to be to be the good ones in quotations. And there you see people internalizing this idea of being dirty if you don't look a certain way. You have so many people in, specifically in India, for example, using soaps that make their skin more clean, like in color, like soft, lighter. That's the word, like that make their skin lighter. Um, and that's common everywhere in the world, but in India, it's a whole thing. Um, this obsession with being whiter, it's an obsession for survival because we of course want to be seen as humans, and oppression makes us believe that just a certain group of people is entitled to being called human, and being called human means that your life is worth something, and we see that every day in the world right now, like people from Mexico, uh, we are being dehumanized because we are being called cartels. Like, oh yeah, Mexicans are narcos. They are all part of the drug cartels. Yeah, it's like, dude, 1% of the Mexican population is in the cartels. 1%. Like, we are not judging Americans upon what the 1% of you do, right? Like, we are not like, oh, yeah, all Americans are school shooters. Like, excuse you? Of course not. Well, it's exactly the same. 1% of Mexicans are into crime, 1%. And that makes it seem, because of what the media says, that all Mexicans are dangerous and criminals and into cartels. Like, literally, I do know so many people that go abroad, and when they say, "Oh, I'm Mexican," they say, "Oh, so you know El Chapo?" Like, dude, no, I know this and this and this inventors, and I know this and this and this artist, and I know Del Toro, and I know like Gael Garcia Bernal, and I know like those are the people that I know, and I literally can tell you I know these movie directors and these amazing people, revolutionaries that have changed the world, that have changed Mexico. That's the people that we know. The same goes with the Middle East. Like, oh, all all Middle Easterns are terrorists. Like, dude, that dehumanization is the result of white supremacy. So it's not just racism. It's not your everyday, oh, you're too pretty to be Mexican. I have heard that one. Or, oh, like I won't even keep going on the examples, enough examples. But that's the thing. It's not just your everyday overt racism, but it's the idea that just one group of people deserves the world, to inherit the world, and the rest don't. The rest are kind of inferior. I know. Let me breathe that through because, as you can see, that pisses me off greatly. Then we have, of course, male supremacy. Male supremacy is what we can call or denominate patriarchy. You know, patriarchy doesn't just oppress women; it oppresses everyone who doesn't fit the mold. The first the first victim of male supremacy is actually men, because men are told to sacrifice their emotions, to sacrifice their sensitivity, their vulnerability, because they are deemed feminine traits, and to be tough and strong, ooh, ooh, ooh. And that creates a big disconnection from their souls, their beautiful, soft, gentle, artistic, loving, creative souls, because that's not masculine. And then, in quotations, of course. And then we have how it oppresses women, how it oppresses trans people, how it oppresses people that are different from the norm in any way. Oh, yeah, let me say that also about white supremacy, because that's something that it does as well. White supremacy says that there is one ideal body that in this case is white, but it's also fit. The norm, remember the mythical norm. The mythical norm that Audre Lorde mentioned was white, young male, fit and healthy. That is the mythical norm. Everybody that doesn't stick to that norm, that we are in this circle of power in which we are a little bit further in some areas and closer in others. So you might be a white woman, so you're closer in power when it comes to whiteness, but you're further when it comes to being a woman and not being a man. But you're older, so you are further because the mythical norm is the young person. So as you age, you start going further. But you're also disabled because you got long COVID. So now you cannot do certain things, or because you lost your hearing, or because you got diabetes, and so that pushed you even further. And then maybe English is not your first language, so that pushes you even further. So power works in this circular way in which there are many traits that might bring you closer or further from this mythical norm. White supremacy, human supremacy, and male supremacy are some of the measures of power. But then again, we have another measure, the fourth one. It is a little bit tricky to speak about this one because there's a lot of misunderstanding. The fourth one is capitalism. And why do I say there's misunderstanding? Because people have been taught to defend capitalism because they understand that capitalism means that I get paid for my work, or that I get to accumulate wealth because I want to live a comfortable life. I want to be able to eat in a restaurant and to travel sometimes and to have a house and not have to rent. That shouldn't be bad, right? Right? Well, it's not. It's okay. That's a totally natural desire. That's a totally healthy desire. Uh, Capitalism is the system that tells you that your value equals your productivity. That resting is laziness. That you are never enough unless you're producing. In the body, it looks like chronic exhaustion, anxiety, the inability to stop even when you're running on empty. Um, Capitalism venerates the almighty God capital over anybody else. So the person doesn't matter, all that matters is the capital that usually stays just for the few, not for the most. So everybody has the right to have wealth. Actually, I want you to have wealth. I want us to have wealth. I want powerful, brilliant, um, politically rebellious women to have wealth. The world needs more of us to have wealth. Because when we have wealth, we make different decisions than those that are in power. Epstein and his friends. We make different choices. We choose to care for our communities. We choose to care for one another. When I have money, my first thought is my kids, my mom, my many rescue animals, because I run a shelter. Well, I run an unofficial shelter. And of course, then my friends and the causes and the people that I support. Like it just grows like circles of care. Who else do I get to care for? Oh, I get to support my friends. I will buy from them, or I will go to this event. Maybe I won't even go because I will be busy, but I will support her and buy from her. That is caring for my friends. And then, okay, I will support this cause. I will donate some money to these other people. That's what women with wealth do. Not all of them. I won't generalize because, of course, there's also women that are rotten and there's men that are generous. But I'm talking about a system. I'm not talking about individuals. Okay. Um, this internalized idea of capitalism, male supremacy, white supremacy, and human supremacy makes us live in a body that feels constantly unsafe, makes us feel in a body that feels like it's never enough, that we have to just keep working, keep doing, keep producing to be worth something, to be skinnier, and to be whiter, and to be more tidy, and to be more to fit into the mold, to get closer to the circle of the mythical norm, which we're never gonna be totally close to because that's a very closed circle. But the closer we are, the more privilege we get, because privilege is relative, because privilege is not an insult, because privilege means being closer to power. Um, and again, power is like this, like this circle that we get to be closer or further from, in different stages. You're closer because you get to. I'm closer to power as somebody that speaks English. That gets me to communicate to a further audience. um, I'm closer than the very wise woman. Probably she's much wiser, most likely, certainly, she's much wiser than me, but she just speaks Nawa and she cannot communicate her wisdom because she doesn't speak the language. So I have more privilege. Privilege is not an insult, privilege is a responsibility. And so I have that privilege. My responsibility is to support the other people that don't have that privilege. You might have the privilege of being white, of being closer to money, of being heteronormative beauty, that people see you and they see beauty. Um, you might have the privilege of being born and raised in a country that has more financial wealth. That's privilege, and that's a privilege that you need to see, recognize, and use for the benefit of others. How are you going to use it is up to you, of course. But how I believe that we should use it is by making the voices of those that have less privilege louder, by supporting them financially when possible, by inviting them to have to teach, to have conversations, to open spaces. Like there's so many people that do cacao ceremonies and they never invite the indigenous person in the land to do the cacao ceremony, the Mayan or the Nahua person there to run the ceremony. No, it's just some white guy that had an ayahuasca awakening, and he's like, no, I can run the ceremony. And then you have the people in the land in Tulum not even being able to afford housing or even a drink or a taco in the place anymore. Like that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. Like, don't get me started. Don't get me started. Okay, so much to say in such little time. I don't want to go deeper into that. I just want to say, understanding how these systems of oppression work is vital, so that we get to process them and to rebel against them actively, consciously, with intelligence and wisdom. We get to rebel against these systems of oppression. We need to understand them first, to understand where we're standing and to understand what we are facing. But more than anything, we get to understand how they move inside of us, because they are not outside evils. We have all internalized these four systems of oppression, these four wicked faces of colonialism. We have all internalized them at some point. We have all internalized racism. We have all internalized male supremacy or patriarchy. We have all internalized human supremacy, and we have all internalized capitalism. And that sucks. To hear that sucks, because we want to think that, oh no, no, I have already done the work. I have done the work enough, so I am not racist. Are you saying I'm racist? Yeah, we have all internalized racism to some point, and we have all done the work at some point, and we have all processed it, and we have all still a long way to keep on decolonizing ourselves. I say this as a Mexican. I have internalized these four at some point, and I have worked to decolonize many of these. And yet again, sometimes I find myself saying something that my teenage kids turn and say, "Mom, you don't say that anymore. That's wrong." Why? Because that's ableist. Okay, I get it now. Thank you for correcting me. You know, that is a constant work that needs community, because these things are not natural to us. These things have been taught to us by community, by a culture, by people that constantly push these agendas. These things, they have lived in our body for so long that they have left scars. They have left this voice, this exhausted voice inside of us that is constantly asking if we are doing enough or not enough. That is constantly wondering if we are worthy, if maybe, just maybe, um, we are out of place. Let me tell you something. These four things that I just described, they are unnatural. That's not the natural way of existing. The natural way of existing is through community and connection, is through constant serving and supporting one another, not by feeling that we should be above one another. So, this is not you. This is not naturally you. This is not naturally me. This is not naturally any of us. This is centuries of conditioning. Somatic decolonization is the practice of noticing that. It's slowly, gently, together, releasing it. I do have a program called Roots, in which that's what we do. We work on deconditioning. We work on recovering re-indigenization. I love that word, even when it's so hard to say. Uh, it's not just decolonization, but it's re-indigenization. It's going back to being indigenous to the land because we are an ecosystem. We are part of this land. And I am not talking about countries. I am talking about existence. I am talking about the world. We are an ecosystem in the world. So, Roots is a 3 month somatic mastermind for women who don't want to look away. And if you want more details, I'll be glad to share more. Just send me a message or check out my link, my information link. Um, but yeah, the work is constant, it's consistent, and it takes gentleness and it also takes support. Thank you so much. And let yourself be part of the resistance. Let yourself not look away. Thank you so much for being here. Sending you so much love.